Hi everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Redefine Campaign Success, Master Foot Traffic and Brand Lift Measurement. My name is Arda, and I'm part of the marketing team here at StackAdapt. Now, to get us started, I'll hand it over to our presenters.
Hey everyone, my name is Venus and I work with Sukhan on the solutions team here at StackAdapt. I specialize in optimizing foot traffic studies and develop effective in-store marketing strategies. A key part of my role involves enhancing our foot traffic attribution capabilities by integrating new features into the StackAdapt platform. I'm very excited to introduce our foot traffic attribution solution in the upcoming slides, but first I'll pass it off to Sukhan.
Thanks, Venus, and hello, everyone. Like Venus mentioned, my name is Sukhan. Part of my role in the solutions team is to analyze market trends to integrate innovative features into our StackAdapt platform. So my key focus is on advancing our brand lift solution and other measurement solutions to help businesses measure brand performance with great precision across all industries. So super excited to be here for this webinar. And once again, thank you so much for joining us today. Now, if you're not too familiar with StackAdapt yet, we are a multi-channel digital advertising platform that's leading the industry with advanced machine learning and AI at its core. We empower our ad buyers to plan, execute, and manage data-driven digital advertising campaigns seamlessly across all devices, inventory, and publisher partners. We've been consistently voted as the #1 DSP and a top 100 software product on G2. Truly, our goal is to support our marketers and advertisers globally, helping them achieve their business goals through innovative technology and a commitment to exceptional service. So with that brief introduction, let's jump into today's webinar. So in today's complex digital landscape, effective measurement is more critical than ever. We know that simply tracking traditional metrics like impressions or clicks is no longer sufficient to gauge the full impact of a campaign. Why? Well, there are a few key reasons. Firstly, it's become crucial for optimizing your campaigns and for proving return on investment to stakeholders. When you can demonstrate the tangible impact of your campaigns, it not only validates your strategy, but also helps build confidence with your key decision makers. But these traditional metrics, like click-through rates, they only tell part of the story. While they can show you how many people interacted or saw an ad, they don't really reveal if the campaign actually changed consumer perception or behavior. Did people become more aware of your brand? Are they considering your product more seriously? Did it lead to an offline conversion? This is where deeper metrics like those from brand lift and foot traffic attribution come into play. Especially with fragmented channels and multi-device usage becoming the norm, it's becoming increasingly difficult to track consumer behavior accurately. So we need measurement solutions that can transcend these limitations and provide a unified view of campaign effectiveness, whether it's on a display ad, a video campaign, CTV, or all of it all together. And this is why advanced measurement techniques like brand lift studies and foot traffic attribution are so vital. They provide you the clarity and the insights you need to understand how campaigns are truly performing and how they can influence consumers at every stage of the purchase funnel. So this brings us to the core of today's presentation, going beyond traditional metrics to truly understand the impact of your advertising efforts. Now, throughout this session, we'll dive into how brand lift studies and then foot traffic attribution work. We'll discuss the insights that they offer, some best practices, and then we'll discuss how you can leverage them together to redefine what campaign success means to you. And then as always, we'll wrap it up with a quick Q&A. So at any point, if you have any questions in the webinar, please don't hesitate to ask in the chat on the side, and we'll try our best to address them at the end. So let's start by exploring what brand perception means and how we can effectively measure it using brand lift studies. Now, what exactly is a brand lift? Simply put, brand lift measures the percentage increase in your campaign's primary objective, whether that's boosting awareness, favorability, or purchase intent. Brand lift can capture how your ads have shifted consumer perceptions and behaviors throughout the purchase funnel. And this is crucial because as marketers, it's not enough to know how many people saw or clicked on your ad. We need to understand if a campaign is changing the way people think and feel about our brand? Are they now more aware of your product? Do they have a better opinion of your brand? Are they more likely to buy or recommend you to others? Brand lift studies provide answers to these questions by quantifying the change in consumer perceptions, attitudes, and behaviors that are caused by the ad exposure. It's a powerful way to measure whether your advertising efforts are driving real impact and moving the needle on your business objectives. This is going beyond those traditional metrics like clicks and impressions, which can only show you surface level interactions. A great thing about brand lift studies as well is that it's channel agnostic, meaning that they are ideal for measuring the channels that are usually harder to quantify, like audio or CTV. For instance, while a CTV ad might not result in an immediate click, it could significantly increase brand recall and favorability, which we could measure directly using a brand lift study. And at StackAdapt, our brand lift solution measures these incremental impacts in real time, giving you a clear view of how your ads are resonating with your audience. These insights are invaluable for refining your strategy and demonstrating the impact of your advertising. Now, let's talk about how brand lift studies fit into the overall user journey or marketing funnel. Now, imagine you're running a new campaign to introduce a product to the market. Say you're introducing a new electrical car that can be charged really fast and it has solar powers that help partially charge it on the go. Naturally, with this, your focus is going to be on building initial awareness and favorability in the early stages. As your campaigns progress, you'll want to understand if this awareness is translating into consideration or purchase intent. So our brand lift studies enable you to track each of these stages, top of the funnel metrics like ad recall and brand awareness, all the way down to mid and lower funnel metrics such as purchase consideration and loyalty. Going back to this new car that you're introducing, let's say you launch a series of video ads to highlight how eco-friendly it is. A brand lift study can measure whether your audience associates the car with sustainability after viewing your ad. If not, then you might want to tweak your messaging to better align with the perception and resonate better with your audience. So this holistic approach is going to ensure that we're not just measuring interactions, but we're capturing the entire impact of your campaign on your target audience's journey. Now, setting up a brand lift study might sound really complex, but it's actually quite straightforward, especially with our simple form fill setup that you can do in Platform. It takes minutes to complete and it involves 4 main steps. You start off by selecting the campaigns you want to measure. This is where you determine which campaigns you want to include in your brand lift study. It could be a display ad, a video campaign, or a mix of multiple formats. From there, it's crucial to align your study with the objectives of your campaigns to make sure that we're measuring the right KPI for the right funnel stage. Are you aiming to drive awareness, or is your objective to increase purchase intent? Then, you'll create the survey and design your question. Now, crafting the right question is key for a brand lift study, and we'll go into a little bit more detail about this later on. But to make this easier, our setup workflow does have templated sample questions that you can choose from based on your industry, the funnel, and the campaign objectives. Finally, you can review everything together and launch your study. Once we get a few responses, you'll be able to see real-time results in our platform that you can then use to optimize your campaign. And that's how you set up a brand lift at StackAdapt. Now, here is an overview of how StackAdapt brand lift works in practice. So the process of brand lift begins with your advertising campaigns by identifying your target audience. Going back to my very lame car example, say your target audience are young adults working in the tech industry. This is creating a targeting criteria of a pool of people who are eligible to see your ad. And through your advertising efforts, some of those users in the pool will see your ad. They will become exposed. On the other hand, some users, despite being in that targeting pool, won't see your ad. And these users would be defined as the control. In the brand lift study, we would serve your question to both the control and exposed users, asking them the exact same thing, and then compare the responses between these two groups for a difference. If there is a difference, we can infer that this was caused by the ad exposure. And this is what allows us to determine the lift, or the incremental impact of your campaign on the exposed group. So say for that new car campaign, In the brandless study, 30% of the exposed group now recognize the car, compared to only 10% of the control group. That's going to be a 20% lift in product awareness. And this kind of data would become invaluable for proving the effectiveness of your campaign, even though there might not yet be any purchase or conversions made yet. All right. So our brandless study at StackAdapt is built to provide not only a robust way of measuring campaign impact, but also an easy to use intuitive experience for our marketers. One of the standout features is the ability to create surveys and customize creatives right within the platform. This flexibility allows you to tailor your brandless studies to match the specific goals and nuances of your campaigns. Whether you want to focus on awareness, consideration, or favorability, you have complete control over how you structure your question and present your creative assets. Additionally, our solution offers comprehensive in-platform reporting. This means you don't have to navigate between multiple tools to gather your insights. Instead, all your campaign performance data is readily available within a single dashboard. And this is going to make it easier to analyze your results in real time and adjust your strategy as needed. Another advantage of StackAdapt BrandLift is that it is channel agnostic. So you can use it across any programmatic channel, whether it's CTV, video, audio, display, or anything else. We'll be able to measure it across those channels even together for a multi-channel measurement solution. This versatility ensures that you can reach your audience wherever they are, providing a holistic view of how your campaign is performing across those different channels. So you can quickly gauge the success of your campaigns and make adjustments as needed. For instance, say for a CTV ad, it was underperforming, we could allocate more resources towards your display or native formats where engagement might have been shown to be stronger in the brand lift. Now, let's bring brand lift studies to life with a real-world example. We recently worked with a B2B software company that wanted a full funnel strategy to increase brand awareness, increase share of voice in the market, and to also drive conversions. Using a combination of CTV and video ads, we were able to reach B2B users at the top of the funnel. We retargeted these users using native and display formats to drive conversions on their website. With the brand lift study in place, we were able to measure the impact of all of these channels together, and this provided a holistic view of how each touchpoint contributed to the overall success of the campaign, allowing us to fine-tune our strategies in real time based on the survey responses and brand perception metrics. And truly, the results speak for themselves, where we were able to achieve a 40% reduction in effective cost per acquisition. This not only validated the campaign's effectiveness, but the brand lift study also provided actionable insights for the next phase of their marketing strategy. Now, one of the most critical aspects of setting up a successful brand lift study is selecting the right question. It might sound simple, but the question you choose can significantly impact how well your study captures the effectiveness of your campaign. If your question isn't aligned with your campaign goals, then the insights that are gathered might not accurately reflect your campaign's performance or the objectives. So how do you choose the right question? Let's break it down with a few key best practices that you should consider. Firstly, align your question with campaign goals. Your question should be directly tied to what you want to achieve through your advertising campaigns. For instance, if your goal is to increase brand awareness, make sure you're asking a brand awareness question. So that properly aligned question is going to ensure you're measuring the right thing and you're capturing relevant data. Furthermore, ensure your question matches the stage of the funnel that your campaign is targeting. For awareness campaigns, focus on questions related to brand recall or recognition, but for mid or lower funnel campaigns, consider questions about consideration or favorability. And this alignment will help you gain actionable insights that tell you how your audience is responding at each stage of their journey. You also want to ensure that the keywords and phrasing that you're using in your question matches the language that you used in your campaign messaging. This consistency is going to help respondents easily connect the question of your brand to your messaging that they saw in your previous campaigns. And this is going to improve the overall accuracy of your results. And then lastly, Keep your question and response options short, simple, and sweet. Respondents should be able to understand your question and your answers without any hesitation or confusion. Offer about 3 to 4 response options to avoid overwhelming respondents with too many options that they have to answer from in just a matter of seconds. And also try to reduce bias and the potential to sway a respondent into answering a certain way by keeping your survey creative, simple, and brandless. The best way to do this is to use the base template that we offer in the setup workflow. That's going to ensure that you're capturing genuine feedback rather than prompting a specific response. And that by following these best practices, you can ensure that your brand lift captures accurately and meaningful insights. So we also want to quickly emphasize a few key points for when you're analyzing the results of your brand lift. Firstly, it's important to understand that the brand lift studies are built as powerful diagnostic tools. So the primary goal of a brand lift is to uncover valuable insights about what's working in your campaigns and what's not. It's designed to help you better understand where your brand or product currently stand with your target audience. Because of this diagnostic nature, the results of your brand lift study aren't always going to show positive outcomes, and that's completely okay. Negative lift results are not uncommon, and they're not a sign of failure. In fact, they can be some of the most valuable insights that you gain. Why? Because they highlight areas for growth and pinpoint exactly where your messaging or targeting may not be resonating with your audience as expected. So rather than using the results as a final verdict on your campaign, the emphasis should be on using them as a guide for improvement. Ask yourself, what can we learn from these results? Where can we optimize? And what aspects of our strategy need refinement? So the true value in identifying opportunities for growth and optimizing your campaign strategies is there through your brand lift studies to achieve better outcomes. Now, that's really easy to say on paper, but how do you take actionable insights from your results? It really does start all by breaking down your data. So use the in-platform report to break down lifts by demographics, by age groups, creative, impression frequency, and all the other breakdowns that are available in the report. And this will help you identify which segments respond positively and which underperformed. For example, you might notice that you're performing really well with one particular age group, but not another. This insight can guide you to focus more of your resources on those high performing segments while revisiting your strategies for segments showing limited lift. By doing this, you'll be using these learnings to fine tune your strategy, optimize your targeting, and ensure your campaigns are aligned with your audience's expectations to fully resonate with them. Focus on using the data for insights to understand your audience better and optimize your campaigns for a stronger future performance. And then finally, one of the most powerful features of our brand lift studies is the ability to segment your audience into retargeting pools based on their survey responses. So if someone shows high intent to purchase, you can retarget them with a conversion focused ad. On the other hand, if someone is just becoming aware of your brand and they aren't quite there yet in terms of high intent, a more educational or introductory message might be more appropriate. So this level of granularity is going to allow you to deliver personalized messaging to each audience segment, maximizing the effectiveness of your retargeting campaigns and help you meet each user at wherever they are in their consumer journey. And with that, we've covered the essentials of leveraging brand lift studies for smarter marketing decisions. Now, let's move on to our next section, foot traffic attribution. So I'll hand it over to Venus to go over this part.
Thanks, Yukon. So now I'll go through the next few slides and explain what our foot traffic attribution solution is and how it works. So foot traffic attribution is a method used to relate mobile campaign impressions or conversions to actual store visits. The data and insights allow businesses to better understand the effectiveness of their programmatic advertising efforts by measuring the number of customers that actually visited a store location after being exposed to an ad. This can then be used to enhance foot traffic over time. So how does this actually work? Users who have been exposed to your campaign are matched against our universe of 140 million monthly active devices. These devices consist of users who have consented to collecting their location data. When one of these exposed devices show up at your stores, it is counted as a visit. With this, we can understand visitation lift by comparing the exposed group and the control group of the general population that was not exposed to your ads. If there is a lift between the exposed and control group, it just means that the targeted individuals are more likely to go to your store location than the general population, and that your campaigns are succeeding in driving real world visits. So, some best practices when setting up foot traffic attribution studies is to layer geo-targeting to the campaigns. This just ensures that you will reach individuals who are close enough to the locations being tracked to actually visit. You can also utilize the reporting metrics to make in-flight optimizations that drive visitation. So for example, we can adjust the size of the polygon or the radius or even change the attribution window you wish to drive visits over shorter or longer periods of time. Another recommendation is to pair this solution with dynamic creatives that have a direct call to action to visit a location. So you can do this by showcasing the nearest location based on where the ad is served. Something to keep in mind is that locations must not be considered sensitive due to privacy reasons. So, for example, we are unable to track visitation to medical facilities or residential locations as these are deemed sensitive. Now, let's go over a real world example. So, in the past, an agency was looking to find a way to increase their reach to online purchasers in the home furnishing market for their client. They wanted to measure the campaign's effectiveness by tracking whether users who engaged with the ads actually visited a store location. And we were able to measure this by using our foot traffic attribution solution for insights. With their main goal being incremental sales, a return on ad spend of 3 times and more, and also awareness, the agency worked with StackAdapt to execute a full funnel campaign and completed it with a foot traffic attribution solution to assess their marketing efforts from top to bottom. And here's a look at what our in-platform reporting includes for our foot traffic attribution solution. Just to name a few, are visits, projected visits, total costs, or also known as media costs, average effective cost per visit, visitation lift, and visitation trends by time of day and day of week. So, how can we tie brand lift and foot traffic attribution together to create a winning formula? So, by running a StackAdapt brand lift study, you can identify users who are more likely to convert from the exposed audience. We can then retarget users with a retargeting campaign that includes creatives that drive viewers to visit in store locations. So, for example, if a brand lift study shows increased awareness or consideration for your product, you can then focus on channels that have demonstrated a higher correlation with foot traffic to maximize in store conversions. By continually analyzing these metrics, you can optimize your future campaigns in real time, ensuring your strategies are not just impactful in theory, but also in practice. And now we've reached the end of our presentation, so let's summarize some key takeaways. With brand lift studies, you can access shifts in consumer perception and behavior beyond traditional metrics like CTR, which is click through rate, or conversion. You can also utilize our foot traffic attribution solution to identify which ads drove store visits. Then we can refine your targeting for maximizing impact. And with our winning formula of using brand lift and foot traffic attribution together, you can sharpen your strategy and ensure your optimization tactics is based on proven results.
Thank you so much, Sukan and Venus. We are now gonna move our Q&A session. Please continue to submit your questions through the webinar panel. We already received several questions, so we'll get started with those. But don't worry if you don't get to yours during the webinar. we will follow up directly with you after the webinar. So, starting with our first question, does a negative lift mean that my campaigns had a negative impact on my audience?
I can take this one. Thanks, Arda. So that's a great question. The short answer is no. A negative lift doesn't mean that your campaign had a negative impact on your audience. Um, Long answer is that it's important to first understand the methodology that we use. So we use a one-tailed statistical test that's designed to detect an effect in just one particular direction. So in our case, that direction is positive. In this context, a negative lift result is equivalent to just receiving a 0% lift, meaning no lift detected. So rather than indicating a negative influence, it simply just suggests that there was minimal to no improvements in the metric that we were measuring. This can often happen when the impact of your campaign is just too small to be detected, given the current size of the respondents that we're testing with. So the smaller the impact, the larger the sample of users you'd need to be able to detect that lift. And so to simply put it, negative lift is really just zero lift, and this just means that your campaigns didn't cause a decline in perception. It's just that it didn't move the needle enough to be detected.
Thank you so much. And a second question that's very interesting as well is how was location data gathered?
I can take this one. So location data is gathered by working with a partner named AdSquare, and AdSquare is a location data provider, and they work with SDK aggregators and app publishers to track opt-in devices entering commercial locations to understand like more about the visitation patterns. In terms of like expanding on that, on how we attribute like impressions to that, is internally we use our impression logs to match it to the visitation data to determine if a visit is considered attributed.
Thank you. And another question that just came in is that can you share examples of how clients have optimized their campaigns in real time based on brand lift and FTA?
Yeah, I could take this one. Absolutely. Um, One common way clients optimize their campaigns is by adjusting their targeting strategy. So, for example, if a brand lift study shows that a specific age group or a region is responding more positively, then clients will often increase their budget allocation towards those segments or run creative variations specifically tailored for them. In a similar manner for foot traffic attribution, you can use those insights on which stores are or areas are seeing the highest increase in visits after ad exposure. And based on that data, you can choose to shift your ad spend towards those regions with the higher foot traffic or run localized campaigns to capitalize on those trends. That's not to say, like, for instance, this can also highlight the need to shift strategies to better resonate with audiences in those underperforming areas as well. So in those areas where you're seeing lower lift or if you're seeing lower visitation, that just highlights to you that you might need to rethink the strategies that you're using for those specific segments.
Thank you. And another question that we got is that what are the best practices for geo targeting in foot traffic attribution to ensure we don't overextend our reach?
Another great question. So, I would suggest focusing on areas where your target audience is most likely located. So, for example, like neighborhoods or regions that align with the target customer. So, for example, if we are looking to track visits to like a local Walmart location, instead of layering geo targeting for the whole city, you should geo target just the neighborhoods nearby to ensure that we are targeting people who would most likely visit the store location.
Thank you. And maybe you could take one more question. What regions is brand lift and foot traffic offered in?
I can also take this one. So, both solutions are offered globally, but there is no regional limitations to brand lift. One thing to keep in mind for foot traffic is that it depends on the region because we do work with AdSquare, so there are some limitations in what regions they can support. And also, some countries may have lower device penetration rates, so it's just best to reach out to a StackAdapt rep and we can test feasibility.
Thank you so much, both Sukan and Venus. And that kind of wraps our session today. We hope you enjoyed it as much as I did and got some useful takeaways. And I wish you all a great day.